Hello, everybody, and welcome to Non Sequitur News for August 26th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 239. I am Mayor Watt, and that is the visualizer and the voice, depending on... Well, anyway, go ahead.
Good evening, hometown citizens. Welcome to Non Sequitur News.
That is the co-host for Non Sequitur News and all the rest of the shows that we are kicking off here at ohmTown. And today... I'm going to deviate a little bit, but right after the intro. So we're going to blast your brains with ultrasonics, craziest garnishes, hacked secret documents, Texas lottery rule change. Try that in a small town. D&D fumbles another spell. Car-sized meteorite. Mystery odor from drinking water, which is never a good sign. Sunlight shines on me 24 hours a day, but I have to pay for it. And Cyber Kingpin captured by the FBI. And finally, Apple is having a glow-up event. Everything's powered by ohmTown.com. Go over there, become a citizen. Follow us over on YouTube and on Twitch. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. Very much so like the channel. I mean, even if you don't really like it, maybe somebody else will like it. Why do I say that? Well, after watching some other people talk about this, I need to talk about it too. So let's talk about it, but on the other side of this. So, all right, folks. ohmTown is pretty new as a network of shows. It's been around for a while, but I don't advertise it. Only recently have I been doing streams, restreams, 24 hours a day. I take the last week's worth of shows and I replay them because I'm not always available. And so people show up and they kind of dig that. But we're trying to figure out, what's going on. And people that say they like the show, they say they like the show, and others, it's hard to get discovered, is what I'm getting at. And then I started running across videos where people are saying, you know what? The algorithm is saying, and it's more than one. I kind of went down a rabbit hole of this, and we are a variety show. Non Sequitur News is news, and it's across a gamut of, let's just say, colors of media, right? Different topics, different tones, different anything. And one person may not like one part of it, but love another part of it, but they don't even get to it. And then the algorithm says, we're not interested. And so you won't get anything because you marked one segment of something that you thought you didn't like, but then you might like it later on. But now we've added the complexity of there are 6 other shows that are focused, but they're all under the umbrella of ohmTown. And when you don't like something in ohmTown, it cancels out all of it for ohmTown. So you basically take a hit. If you aren't interested in the news, that's fine. It's very lighthearted most of the time. We have certain big issues that we talk about, but for the life of me, I don't want anybody to have to say they don't like one segment and then they don't get anything. So I'm looking for a solution for that. And the only one that anybody has offered up across the spectrum of shows is individual channels, which is some serious heavy lifting. Not for me. I do that anyway. I have it broken out into different playlists, but the playlists alone don't save anything. If you say you don't like a show in ohmTown, it turns off ohmTown to you. And that's even, if you don't like us, right, then you don't like us, and the algorithm may throw something back into your pile. If you mark it as you don't like it, you downvote, then it'll turn it off, essentially. But if you mark it as you like, you may get something that you truly do like, and you'll have to sift through basically an hour a day of 10 articles. And if you dig something, go over to ohmTown.com. I know that I'm going off on a little tangent of sorts, But it's a big issue, and we want to grow the channel and reach a bigger audience. But I don't feel that advertising for it is a good thing, because you get ads everywhere, and I don't want to be a show of ads. So, and I don't want to promote the show because it's not authentic, really. So, anyway, tell a friend. Hopefully you dig this, you come back and you hang out. And the show notes lead you through ohmTown, and it's a bunch of different topics for Non Sequitur News, but the 6 other shows are very niche. So you might want to go and check those out. And unfortunately, if you are amongst the thousands that have come and gone, you may never see ohmTown again, because the algorithm said, well, they didn't click on like, so too bad.
It is kind of ridiculous.
Yep. So if you want to get the show notes, you hit !NSN for Non Sequitur News, and that Omatron will throw all 10 of the articles into the VOD, which I just did for you. And so that'll be in the VOD over on Twitch. It'll be in the show notes over on YouTube, because it doesn't replay the VOD from Twitch. It is a unique stream. And if you want to get all of our show notes for all of the shows that we've done, the last episode at least, you can go over to Twitch or look at the playlists. And the playlists over on YouTube have the show notes in them. So go and check it out. Each episode will have its own. You can also download the podcast. They have the show notes, and there's a Patreon that will support us directly without any subscription to YouTube or to Twitch. And there's a Discord that you can go and attend each of the shows. Every channel at ohmtown.com has its own channel on Discord as well. So you want to get into all of the show articles today?
I do. And I'm thinking everybody needs to go like every single ohmTown video they can find.
Yeah, just go like it. I mean, it's real easy. You just click on the thing, and then you click on like, and you know you're going to like it. I mean, we know you're going to like it. These are the droids you're looking for. Anyway, the first article is over in the Marvel channel. I want to be more mindful when you meditate. Blast your brain with ultrasonic waves. This is something that I have actually noodled around with for years, and because I don't do fundamental research anymore, this is all anecdotal. But what is this music? Okay, so
it sounds like a horror movie.
Yeah, I had to move on.
And somebody's about to open a door, and something crazy is going to happen.
Yeah, it's really subtle for everybody else, but for us, it's louder. Anyway, so I do this with something similar to binaural beats, but this new research shows that if you basically pump it up another notch to ultrasonic, it's supposed to help you meditate easier. Researchers at the University of Arizona have found that the effects of mindfulness meditation, a subset of meditation practices in which you focus on being in the moment, can be greatly enhanced by wearing a device that blasts your brain with low-intensity ultrasonic waves. The sound waves modulate your brain's DMN, or default mode network, which is the interconnected regions of the brain that activate when you're being self-reflective or daydreaming. Neuroscientists say DMN is also where a lot of your memory and future planning goes down, which is really interesting because go and look into inner monologue or inner voice, and you will run across the fact that literally 50%, I don't know the exact number, and I don't think real research has shown an actual value other than this study says 60% do not, and this study says 70% do not. But not everybody has an inner monologue. Not everybody daydreams or is self-reflective. And it's quite fascinating that somebody is talking, or an entire science is cogitating the effectiveness of the default mindfulness state of your brain, when you can walk up to a random person and say, hey, when you're singing, when you're listening to music that has lyrics, do you sing the lyrics to yourself, or do you sing them out loud? And if
Oh,
they
you know
go,
who you are if you're one of those sing out loud kind of people.
yeah, you know damn well who you are. You're the person where everybody is looking at you going, why the hell are you singing out loud? Yeah. If you can't spot the weird person on the bus, you're the weird person on the bus. So, when you ask that question, if they wonder what you're talking about, if they ask that question, what are you talking about? They don't have an inner monologue. So they're not necessarily ever self-reflective or daydreaming in the same way that somebody with a inner monologue does. Because my anecdotal research has shown that the people that do have an inner monologue they have a different way of being self-reflective and daydreaming. They actually visualize it, and there's a level of creativity that I have seen is at an amplitude higher than those who do not. Now, does that hold true scientifically? I don't know. I don't have a research grant, and I'm not a psychologist researcher. But I find my anecdotal evidence to hold true over the last 2 years of doing off and on research into this. So these sound waves modulate your default mode network, and like everything that is waves of energy, you can amplify by getting everything into a harmonic resonance. And
That's
maybe,
really kind of just this astonishing idea.
right? And the AI knows that I have been talking about this for a decade, at least. And I'm so glad that fundamental science and researchers have actually done this. So go ahead.
Right, it's too bad you weren't on ohmTown back then, because you could have pronounced it more broadly.
Yeah, I think it would be a fun conversation. And there's actually different ways of doing this. There's an electromagnetic way of doing this, brain stimulation, and this is ultrasonic. So just 5 minutes in a transcranial focus ultrasound, or TIFUS, which is not the musician, Tifu, but increased a meditator's perception of time and sense of self. Now, this could be a biological version of AI hallucination, or this could be legit. But in a paper published in Frontiers in Human Neuroscience, the researchers found that hitting the brain with some transcranial focus ultrasound, or TIFUS, for just as little as 5 minutes increased the meditator's perception of time and sense of self. It also significantly increased their sense of mindfulness overall. They became aware of themselves as a being, that kind of thing. The researchers measured the participants' present moment awareness and reduced negative thinking through MRI scans and self-reports. The mindfulness is already pretty helpful for reducing negative thoughts and allowing people to live in the moment rather than thinking about their past or future, when it isn't being treated like a wellness scam of the day by people looking to make a buck. Finding a way to enhance an already beneficial mental health practice in a way that is totally non-invasive could have huge implications in medical health treatment down the line. The problem here is that reducing negative thoughts without getting to the base cause of it, and finding a solution as to why you're having the negative thoughts, can be rather frustrating. And so I would say, until we develop a VR method tied to analysis, where it's kind of self introspective Why am I having these negative thoughts? What are they about? Why am I having these negative
Right,
thoughts?
actually working through them, not just covering them or whatever.
Yeah, because acknowledging them themselves, depending on the personality, the person that's doing this process, it could amplify them because they become aware of it and then they dwell more and they don't have the mechanism in place to step back. So, and if you're a dweller, then you're in for a world of hurt, really, without finding a way to step away from the dwell. So they just have to make sure that they get their brains blasted with TFAS. Don't get too much, because they say that it can have the opposite effect of causing depression and even more negative thinking. So a little goes a long way. This article is by
I hope
Louise
they have it
Potter.
dialed in.
And I think that it's for everybody is unique. Everything biological is. So one treatment just whenever we take medication, the amount of aspirin one takes is different for each person. The argument is that 2 a day kind of a thing. Just take 2 of these and call me in the morning. That could work for 80%, right? Of course, 62.5% of all stats are made up on the spot. So
was this one?
As is that one. So anyway, pretty fascinating. I'll be keeping an eye on this because I'm really interested in what we don't know about the brain.
Will you be signing up for low intensity ultrasonic sound waves?
No, I'm going to be signing up for extremely high intensity ultrasonic brainwaves. What is the eternal sunshine of the spotless mind?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Okay, let's keep moving. The next article is in the Order of the Grape channel over at ohmtown.com. Craziest cocktail garnishes of all time. See how non sequitur plays into this. We bounce around all over the place, so I hope you enjoy the show. It's like a 3-ring circus. So it's been said many times that we eat with our eyes. The truth told, we drink with them too. Without a lemon twist or a skewered olive, a martini just looks like a fancy glass of water, which seems to be true unless you don't really care and you just want a good drink. It's kind of me.
I guess it depends on what the presentation is.
Well, then you drink with your eyes. Oh, by the way...
Well, no, I mean, like if somebody's serving it and bringing it to you, or you're just pouring yourself something, that might make a difference.
Yeah, I suppose if I show up in nothing but my gold thong, as mayor is privileged to do in the mayoral mansion, maybe you don't want the cherry. Anyway, presentation is a fundamental pillar of hospitality, and in recent years, drink garnishes have evolved tenfold. So let's go take a look at some of these wild... how about not an octopus leg? Pete O'Connell.
I'm a little worried about the photo here.
Yeah. Pete O'Connell over at vinepair.com put the article together. We'll run through it really quick. So, ew. I'm not going to even say that one. Let's just say a toe was one, a black ant salt rim, a cicada husk, a rubber ducky, a grilled octopus tentacle, an oversized tortilla, a caviar-topped mannequin hand, and a bloody shark toy. Outback Steakhouse. Outback Steakhouse had that? Either pure genius or pure kitsch. Hell, maybe a little bit of both. The drink's build consisted of New Amsterdam raspberry vodka, blue curacao, and a trio of citrus juices. Just a trio. Doesn't say what they were. Finally garnished with a toy shark with a mouthful of grenadine, and customers are encouraged to empty out the syrupy red liquid into the drink to create a visual effect of blood gushing into the blue. The drink debuted April 2023. Yes, that's the season of regret, because we all returned back into public space from post-pandemic self-quarantine and projects. Yeah, full of regret. Oh, look, yes, this is exciting. Oh my God. No. Let's move on. So the next article is over in the Wanted channel. Hackers claim to have stolen top secret documents from U.S. Marshal Service, which is really, really horrible. Hunters International says it stole more than 380 gigs of data from the federal law enforcement agency and has set an August 30th deadline for ransom to be paid. Todd Feathers over at Gizmodo.com put this article together. This is not good.
Yeah, this is kind of a problem. Yeah, I was going to say, aren't they responsible for witness protection?
Yes. Yeah, in a pretty broad spectrum of law enforcement activities. Yeah, spokesperson for the... let me back up a little bit. So it's a ransomware group called Hunters International took credit for the breach and posted pictures of the allegedly stolen records on its data leak site, according to cybersecurity firm Hackmanic, which provided screenshots of the post to Gizmodo. In total, the group claims to have exfiltrated more than 327,000 files from law enforcement agencies, or from the law enforcement agency responsible for tracking down fugitives and running witness protection. And the hackers set a August 30th deadline. I don't know what the amount is, but it's a hacking group.
I'm assuming the amount is pretty high given the data.
We'll find out. In 2022, upstate New York media outlets on a Marshals operation by the same name, Operation Turnbuckle, led to the arrest of more than a dozen drug trafficking suspects. Those records apparently appear to contain headshots and other information about the suspects, and the hacking group posted those publicly. The agency suffered a debilitating ransomware attack in February of 2023 that crippled some of its systems for months. It's not immediately clear whether the Data Hunters International claims have stolen in connection to that breach, but interesting timing.
Well, especially if marshals haven't been hacked previously. I don't think this is all unrelated.
So, Hunters International emerged on the scene after Hive's ransomware group rebranded, which the FBI had infiltrated and disrupted in a 6-month investigation, culminating in January of 2023. So just spins off and becomes something else. Hackmanic has tracked 181.
I didn't know hackers rebranded.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hackers got a hack. And they got a plethora of rationale for why they do it. It could be money, fame, political, whatever, aspirational. They want a feather in their cap for doing something, or they just want money. It really runs the gamut. So when one group gets taken down and you're not part of the dragnet, then guess what? You go off somewhere else, find some more buds of like mind. It's like being in prison, I suppose. And if you get out, you've made friends because you had to survive in a horrible place. And when you can't do what you love to do legally and get paid millions of dollars, unless of course you start up a firm that consults, and then you play that game, you can make millions, and then you can patch everybody in the dead of night on Friday and blue screen of death,
and then shut down global operations,
the whole world. Yeah. Anyway. Yep. Hackers got a hack. All right, let's keep moving though. The next article is over in Rounders Gear. Texas Lottery rule change after system was gamed for $95 million. Unusual requests to the Texas Lottery from vendors who suddenly want to scale up on ticket processing machines will be treated with a higher degree of scrutiny. That's after a New Jersey-based syndicate walked away with a $95 million jackpot after buying up 25.8 million tickets from pop-up vendors. What I don't get about this is it doesn't really matter. If people paid into the system in the the drawing was random, why does it matter?
Did the money go into the regular draws? I mean, I don't quite get the issue here.
After 93 rollovers on April 22nd, 2023, lottery draw was one of the rare occasions when the game becomes mathematically exploitable. The jackpot stood at $95 million, which meant that buying up every possible combination of numbers, or 25.8 million tickets at $1 a ticket, would all but guarantee not only the jackpot, but most of the other prizes as well. And that's exactly what the mysterious syndicate did. This is like old school, like
It's like
Batman
Ocean's
and Robin.
11, but yeah.
Like there's somebody out there that had enough money to buy all of them except for one ticket. What I don't get is that what if 2 tickets matched?
That's true, and it easily could have.
So even if you were unlucky enough to share the first prize with another winner, it would still make a profit around $3 million. That's before you consider the additional prizes, which it would more likely share with other winners as well. A 3-way split would have been disaster, but it was an unlikely outcome, and evidently a risk worth taking for the syndicate. So, according to this, the lottery collaborated in the scheme. All of the tickets bought in the syndicate were processed at just 4 outlets, 3 of which had sold no tickets at all in the months leading up to the draw, according to an investigation by the Houston Chronicle. So this article is over at casino.org by Philip Conneller. I think that it's really fascinating. But
so
what
they
I don't
basically
get is,
bought the equipment and then bought a ton of tickets.
yeah, just sat there and let it purchase. And so, like other things, the objective here isn't to ensure a fair game. It's to limit access, so it's an unfair game, and the system is gamed to guarantee, or more likely guarantee, that nobody will win it for an extended period of time, and then the state owns that money, invests it, and capitalizes on it through investment. Because if they won this, $95 million would be sucked out of the system. Half of it would go to taxes anyway, so that it's still a win for the state, but it makes more money by staying for weeks and weeks and weeks in the system.
Right. Do you think they put their name into the lottery app when they were purchasing all these tickets?
Yeah, and all of the losers, they did second chances. And then won the second chances.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you should do, Texas? Don't allow millionaires to purchase tickets. Shocker, right? Because it was a syndicate of people that bought 25.8 million tickets.
Right, but it was really like they were cahooting with the outlets that were selling the tickets, I think.
Yeah, but how many people were involved?
Probably a small number, because otherwise they would have to split it in too many directions.
There were 4 that were working together, 3 of which had sold no tickets. So how many people were actually involved? That's what I'm curious about now. A group of sophisticated players. Not really. It's a bunch of people that had to type in the numbers manually to order the tickets, unless they have an electronic processing system. They basically printed out row after row of ticket and then sent it into the machine so that they could buy $25.8 million worth of tickets.
Right, they didn't do quick picks.
They didn't do quick picks, correct. That way they could basically, like hacking, they minimized the chance to miss a password because they did a rainbow table. Every possibility, a dictionary attack, etc. It's all pretty much the same. Game it so that they are more guaranteed to win. Fascinating. But the money went in. I don't get it. Essentially, they're saying you have to play by rules, but when you play by the rules fully and you fully understand the rules, you're not allowed to play it that way. We're going to change.
Yeah,
They
well, I
limit
think
access.
the issue here is the vendor piece. Like, if they just went up to machines and bought a bunch of tickets, I don't think this would have happened. But they set up the machines, I believe. We don't see a lot of detail here. And then maybe exclusively purchase from them, like, round the clock, or, who knows?
It's still a legit purchase. They're just not sitting in a store. At least one
Yeah,
store.
but were the systems even available to the public? I mean, I don't know.
What does it matter? There's thousands of others across the state. I know that you're trying to be devil's advocate about it, but it was a legitimate purchase with a legitimate machine, a legitimate transaction. They just happened to be able to swing $25.8 million worth of tickets. Actually, it's more than that, right?
Why do they need to win if they have that much money to begin with?
Because greed knows no bounds. That's why I said millionaires shouldn't be allowed to play the lottery, right? You should be doing good with your millions.
Greedy Do you think you have to show your bank statement when you're purchasing a lottery ticket?
Sure.
Maybe when you're claiming.
Showing your humanity, not. So the next article is over in Non-Sequitur News. D&D publisher walks back controversial changes to online tools. And speaking of online tools, Wizards of the Coast has walked back some of its planned updates to D&D Beyond, which it pretty much has been screwing over people because what they wanted to do was remove all of the old content to stop you from using your old content in the new context. You had to buy a new player's handbook, DMG, etc. in the electronic format. Last week, as part of updates to D&D's 5th edition, collectively known as the 2024 revision or the shitting the bed version, the publisher announced that it would update D&D Beyond, the tabletop RPG's official digital toolkit that players use to reference content and create characters using a host of official and third-party sources. Basically, the spells and other stuff they've blocked initially from being able to be used in the new context. So Ash Parrish over at TheVerge.com put this article together. The deck statement says Wizards of the Coast plans for D&D Beyond would have forced players to use the new versions of spells, weapons, and magic items in their current campaigns.
I mean, what would have happened if they used the old ones? Would something have blown up?
Well, it's a tabletop game, so nothing would blow up, but there could be gaming imbalances. But the magic of a tabletop role-playing game is that even if there are imbalances, it's up to the dungeon master to control that scene. And so I will just jump out and recommend
Shadow Dark.
Yeah, that's actually what I was pulling up. So Shadow Dark RPG, very inexpensive to get in hardbound. You don't need to get it in hardbound though. You can get a digital version of it and carry it around. It's only 350 pages. Contains everything you need as DMG and player's guide, player's handbook. It's a spin off of basically 5th edition. Arguably, I would say it's more Pathfinder and streamlined. This thing is just sweet because the suite of tools, essentially, they don't make you jump through flaming hoops to solve a problem. It becomes something more streamlined and easy to use.
I don't understand why not. That's everybody's business model, right?
And so, yeah, and I think that it's really good competition. Pathfinder is another option. It's 3.5 D&D, and they have their own more... The chemistry has changed for Pathfinder since they released version 2 of Pathfinder and Starfinder now. So go and check that out instead of all of this. But Ash Parrish put the article together, and that's what we're talking about more so. The update would add the new 2024 rulebooks to the toolkit, marked outdated content with legacy badge, and change players' character sheets to reflect all the new rules and the features. But if you didn't do that, they were forcing that change. Some of the 2024 revisions are essentially cosmetic in nature. For example, races will be updated to species because, we can't have any context to race. In a role-playing game that has orcs and goblins and trolls. And,
we want to treat the orcs and the goblins similarly.
Right. So All entries for mundane and magical items, weapons, armor, spells will be updated to their 2024 version. This is why you don't own anything when it's digital. You own nothing digital. You have a perpetual license to consume it. And if you go and look at your playlist over on Apple, for instance, Apple Music and movies, the cover art changes willy-nilly.
Which means they're reaching in and just making updates, whether you know about it or want it.
Yep, you own nothing when it's digital. In fact, Steam is going to end up being the same way. GOG, you actually own, you can download the stuff, but then it's digital, and once they decide that they don't want it, GOG's been pretty good apparently. But all of these other electronic services, live services, the moment that you have to get a patch from them, you have the potential of no longer getting what you originally paid for.
Right. I like this. They have a car analogy. And I guess it's going toward the repo.
Yeah, but I think it's even worse than that, right? They roll out the modern version of the car, right? And then they disable some function on your car because they've updated your car.
That's true. Like your heated seats that you thought you had.
Yep. Or the Innova sous vide product that you've owned it for years, and just by the grace of their goodness, they've allowed you to grandfather in
for it until they brick it for somebody else.
Correct. Yep. So if you haven't created an Innova account and activated a device, see, like I created an Innova account because the rule actually said, and I have a screenshot of it. The rule actually said that all you had to do was create an account. But later on in the paragraph,
right, which makes it, yeah, you'd think it'd be beyond that, right?
Yeah. Later on in the article, it actually said you had to create an account and activate a device. So, real shitty Innova. Anyway, quote, "We misjudged the impact of this change, and we agree that you should be free to choose your own way to play," Wizard said in a latest announcement. Current character sheets will only be updated with new terminology, while the older versions of spells, magic, items, etc., I think everything should be left alone. Also, players who have access to both the 2014 and 2024 digital versions will have the option to use both when creating new characters. And frankly, make it an option so that I can have it compartmentalized. If I want to live in 2014, then so be it. Leave my shit alone. I paid for it. Anyway, stop killing games. And now
Oh, that's right.
God, this greedy bastard scumbaggery is just beyond reproach. And meanwhile, you have people, and I've been told this, well, you can't force a company to support their game forever. Well, they're using my money forever.
Exactly. And why can't they at least make it available if they're going to, I don't know, stop killing games?
It's there. Stop killing games. All right, let's keep moving on. The next article is over in the Mobile channel. Space junk that fell in Eastern Cape was a car-sized meteorite. Apparently, it entered atmosphere and then broke up. And on the other side, I've actually seen this picture in other places. So Wits University is where this article is coming from, but it was published over at phys.org. Space junk that fell in Eastern Cape was a car-sized, I don't know why there's no D there, car-sized meteorite. Eyewitnesses saw and some took video of a streak of bright light in the sky over St. Francis Bay. What some speculated might be space junk. That's simply because what's happened in the past is, well, there's been SpaceX debris that has landed in fields and ISS stuff that's been dropped, like an entire battery payload has been dropped into orbit. And I suspect Starliner is going to do the same thing because they're going to be coming home with a SpaceX rocket. Anyway, what some speculated might be space junk from a satellite seems to have entered the atmosphere at a relatively low trajectory, breaking up as it burnt up, and it says the captain of a whale watching boat reportedly seeing objects splashing into the ocean off Cape St. Francis.
Do you think they thought they were whales?
No. They said that it was a car-sized meteorite.
No, I know, but do you think they thought they were spotting whales?
No. Just because they're the captain of a whale watching boat. Other places, when you're an expert in something, when you're the hammer, all you see are nails.
That's exactly where I was going.
Yes.
Look at that whale on the left side. Oh wait, on the right side.
Space whales. Now there's divers are probably going to go out there with metal detectors and go scanning for this stuff, because these things are wildly expensive. I mean, this thing is probably like $25,000 worth of whatever. I mean, it depends on what it is. So, yeah, I think it's pretty fascinating. So only 51 meteorites have been documented in South Africa, and only 22 meteorite falls have been recorded. Just like fossils, meteorites are items of national heritage, and the sale and trade of meteorites are regulated by law through the South African Heritage Resources Act, which I think that's insane. It fell out of the sky and just happened to land in a geopolitical border, right. And it's
Does that heritage? Mean South Africa suddenly owns it, or gets to say, well, you can't move it across the border, or whatever?
There's a whole lot of history there, you know. So some people heard a sonic boom as far away as Plettenberg Bay, over 200 kilometers from Gabera. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that absolutely incorrectly, but I gave it my Harvard try, but I never went to Harvard, so that's what you end up with.
That's a lot of consonants.
Yeah, it's okay. So to the untrained eye, meteorites look like normal rocks. However, they should have a smooth, glassy, black appearance called the fusion crust, which is formed from the burning of the meteorite as it enters the atmosphere. It basically glassifies its surface. The inside of the meteorite will look like normal rock, but not necessarily. That's really disingenuous to say that, because when you cut open a meteorite, it can be metal and crystalline intermixed together.
It's going to vary, right, depending on where it came from.
Yeah, I mean, it could look like a normal rock when you cut it open, but the metal ones are, yeah, and I would say that this is probably an iron one. But don't hold me to that. I don't know what the actual content is of this. It says, before you touch it, photograph it on the ground, take several photographs of its environment, record a GPS pin of where you found it, wrap it in a piece of aluminum foil, and place it securely in a Ziploc bag. Then call them to collect it. And I would say this in that location. But
right, maybe something similar, though, if it's in a different country.
You might want to seek out, because depending on where you are, they might be a little bit more dystopian about how they allow people to go and get meteorites. But, I mean, for me in the United States, if I have to go into somebody else's yard to get it, then you're already in trouble, because it's trespassing, and that right there is going to lead to trouble, particularly in some states. But if you're on the ocean,
I don't even know if you can take it from public land either. Like, right. I mean, there's going to be very few places you can probably pick it up.
Yeah. And I think that's just asinine, because, well, it fell out of the freaking sky just because you happen to be. I guess the dude in Florida is the owner of that battery that punched a hole through the roof.
I mean, according to this South African law, I would say so.
Moving on. This next article is over in Non-Sequitur News. Drinking water warning in place for days after mystery odor, and you never want that. I don't know where this is actually set up, but I figured I'd talk about it. 5 days after a first alert was issued, impacted residents are still advised against consuming the water. So where do you think this is?
Oh, I already glanced ahead.
Oh, cheater.
But I would have thought it's in like maybe an urban area, because that's where we've seen the most water warnings, I think.
Gotcha. So Anna Skinner over at Newsweek.com put the article together. It says water is still deemed not safe to drink for 13,000 people serviced by Rapidan Service Authority's Wilderness Water Treatment Plant in Orange County, Virginia, after researchers issued a do not use water advisory last Wednesday following reports of a strange odor in the drinking water.
And bleaching and boiling would not make it okay.
You're kidding. You know what this reminds me of? There is a horror anthology. Actually, it's like a sci-fi anthology over on YouTube. And I can't remember what it's called. Oh no. A sci-fi anthology. YouTube. Hold on. What is it called? You know what? I'm gonna find this. I am going to find this.
So the odor is apparently similar to paint thinner or gasoline.
Oh my goodness. So they don't know what it is, I guess. Anyway, 1,000 Suns is what it's called. And there's one called Bug. And a person comes home and takes a drink of water, and then the hilarity ensues. I'll just leave it at that because I don't want to ruin it for anybody. But
or horrify anybody.
Yeah, 1,000 Suns. It is an awesome, absolutely awesome anthology. Anyway, so on Monday, the VDH issued an update regarding the advisory in place for RSA customers. Why not just speak in acronym? Just turn all of it into...
Right. It could be just one after another.
Yeah.
ABC.
Do not drink will become a D&D. Do not drink. Anyway, although water has since been deemed safe for non-consumable uses such as laundry or bathing, that's right. You want to put something that you wouldn't drink all over the material that you're going to sleep in, clean yourself.
I'm sure that's very safe on your skin.
Orange County residents are still advised against drinking the water because, you know, you don't absorb liquids through your skin or anything. That doesn't happen. Anyway. And don't use it for consumption or washing dishes. You can bathe in it, but you can't wash dishes.
I'm not quite sure I get that.
There's some serious asshattery going on in this. Anyway, in addition to advising residents against consuming the water, VDH has also asked all of its permitted food facilities to remain closed until the advisory is lifted. A swimming advisory is in place for Rapidan River from the boat launch at Route 3 to the boat launch at Route 610. That's been lifted.
So this is bad. They don't know what happened, and they didn't find any contaminants when they tested the water. This is concerning.
So somebody dumped some really bad stuff.
Agreed. But why didn't that pop up when they tested it?
Water
it's so
didn't stay.
Unknown.
Yeah, it just floated down. No. So I would probably be searching for large trucks on video and looking for who it was that's been dumping 20-gallon jugs of God knows what from God knows where. Let's move on. Next article is over on the Mobile Channel. This company wants to sell you sunlight at night from space. But if you're Mayor Watt, you don't have to worry about that because sunlight shines on me 24 hours a day. It's a curse. Reflect Orbital, California, gotta be California. California is the Florida of California business. Has opened applications for anyone who wants to use a satellite with a mirror on it to reflect sunlight to a specific location on Earth after dark. You might be wondering, what? I love that. I love that.
That pretty much sums it up.
Yeah. What? So Sammy Caramella over at Vice.com put this article together. God, do you know how pissed off your neighbors would be?
Oh my goodness. Are you thinking of
Look at
Christmas
the picture.
Vacation?
Look at the
Oh,
picture.
wow.
Oh man, I love this picture. Reserve a spot of light. That's right. Reflect Orbital's CEO, Ben Nowak, which I swear I know that name too. Why do I know that name? Ben Nowak.
Maybe he was a CEO of another company and has just moved over to this.
I swear I've run across that name before, but I used to do business. I used to be in the startup community in Southern California and in Los Angeles. And you just never know. Like, that name sounds really familiar, but years later, it all blends together. You don't necessarily know. So I'll have to do some due diligence and see if I've run across that person before. The company's orbital mirror is set to launch in 2025, and you can apply for sunlight for the next few months. There's limited availability. This is hilarious and weird and dystopian. And already supposedly over 30,000 applications. It really just sounds like a one-time test, though. You only get 4 minutes for a diameter of 5 kilometers, and there's no price listed. So yeah, somebody can say, hey, you know what I want? I want sunlight here. And a 5-kilometer area is going to get blasted by sunlight at night.
Right. So then all the neighbors, this is going to be a weird lawsuit. An HOA complaint.
But it's only 4 minutes, right? It's not a big deal. This is weird. This is just so weird. The problem is that solar energy is not available when you actually want it, Nowak said. So in April at an international conference on energy from space, there's a conference on energy from space. It would be really great if we could get some solar energy before the sun rises and after sunset. Because then you could actually charge higher prices and make a lot more money. And we think that reflector
part out loud.
Yeah, greed. And we think that reflector-based technologies can solve this problem. This is so stupid. But somebody is footing this bill, so good on you. Good on you. I hope that it isn't taxpayer dollars, because I think that this is really stupid.
Well, I don't like the wildlife impact because there's been a lot of discussion about that, particularly during the pandemic. Like there were fewer streetlights and other things, and that was positive for wildlife. I mean, that can really disrupt wildlife if it's on at the wrong time.
The only way that I would see that this thing is a viable option is if it's basically a solar power redirector from high enough in orbit that it can always pin sun right on those solar panels. Just it's in geosynchronous orbit and always pinning light right on those 5 kilometers. And it's never wavering. It's not disrupting life anywhere else. It's nothing more than redirecting sunlight from wherever to that 5 kilometer area. Good luck on that being effective. But hey, you know what? When you can charge higher prices and make a lot more money, you do anything.
Right. I mean, what's the problem here? Oh, wait, we don't have enough profits.
That's right. And don't turn off any light. You know what? The reason why we have battery packs is so that we can charge during the day and then shut down, draw from the battery, and then when the sun comes back up, the cycle renews and you don't have to screw around or charge exorbitant rates. Ugh. This is the kind of person that wants to charge you for oxygen.
This is going to be like the real genius popcorn scene here in a moment.
Yeah. Under the dome, this person wants to put like big ass plastic domes around LA, and everybody inside it gets charged a premium for using the air that's pulled from outside. It's like
the premium vaults from Vault-Tec.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Next article's over in Non Sequitur News. FBI captures cyber kingpin who scammed millions of Americans. The U.S. Secret Service has detained a fugitive alleged to be the leader of a vast crime network, Raymond Reddington. Oh, wait, no, that's not it. Network targeting millions of unsuspecting Americans. Monica, if you're talking, you're... Yeah. So...
No, I was just amused at the Raymond Reddington thing, and
it's kind of old school
momentarily confused.
Yeah, it's old school. So, Monica Sager over at Newsweek.com put the article together. So, who was it? Silnikov, 38, has been associated with online monikers JP Morgan, XXX, Lansky, a dual Belarusian Ukrainian citizen who was formally indicted in both New Jersey and Virginia for computer hacking and wire fraud schemes, according to documents unsealed August 13th. Let's see what else they added.
When you're going for indictment, you want to be indicted in multiple states.
Multiple states, yep, under various monikers. Let's see, a global ransomware scam extradited from Poland, face charges in the U.S. Let's see what else. They face 27 years in prison for wire fraud conspiracy, 10 years in prison for computer fraud conspiracy, 20 years on each wire fraud count. They use the Angler exploit kit, which basically at that, I don't know, I don't want to sit there and judge somebody's skill set, but it's a delivery of scareware ads to display fake messages claiming to have identified a virus or other issue on the victim's device. The messages then tried to deceive the victim into buying or downloading software, providing remote access, and disclosing personally identifiable information and financial information. I've recently wiped out a system that had stuff that allowed for remote access, and it was so hard-coded. I had to do some... I couldn't cleanly back up anything and recover. I had to wipe it all out, start over from fresh.
Burn it to the ground.
Yeah, basically nuke it from orbit, drop a battery payload on it.
Oh, that's right.
Treat it like a Florida living room.
Solar at night.
Or solar at night, that's right. So, conspirators' scheme caused unsuspecting internet users to forcibly redirect to malicious content on millions of occasions and defrauded and attempted to defraud various US-based companies involved in the sale and distribution of legitimate online advertisements and so on and so forth. Which brings me back to my catchphrase that I say to everybody: click with care. Don't just click random shit because it shows up in your mailbox. Don't just click on stuff when you go to a website, something pops up. When in doubt, close the browser. Don't click on anything. Okay?
Don't do it.
Just don't do it. Click with care. Trust but verify. Before you click on something, verify that it is legit. If it has locked you out from being able to navigate the internet, then close your browser, empty out all of the cache, open your browser again, but don't click anything other than the exit on the app, or better yet, end task it. So Control Delete, Task Manager, end task the browser, go to settings, wipe out your browser cache, and basically start over. Just don't click stuff. Click with care. Okay, Monica Sager is the author of this. Let's move on to our last article for today's Non Sequitur news, and that is that, ta-da! This could probably be in next week's Wanted, but Apple's iPhone 16
and it
event,
might be.
Yeah, sorry, the visualizer for the sentient AI. What you all see here is the power that's needed to generate the voice. Yeah. But what I see is a cascade of special characters, kind of like the Matrix, and just now they looked like they had cat ears on, like a fascinator. Anyway, so Apple's iPhone 16 event invites are out. I got one, not as an invite, but notice that there's going to be an event. What you could see on September 9th is over at the CNET article. So let's go over there. It's Glow Time. And Abrar Al-Hidi put the article together. It's over at cnet.com. That is what was sent out. Higher resolution to all of you who got it in your email, though, because this looks a little pixelated and blown up. So what do you think is going to be in it? iPhone 16, maybe. There's one goober out on YouTube that's sitting there talking about Apple Glass being glasses from Apple, and how great it's going to be and blah, blah, blah. But no, I don't see that happening anytime soon. Yeah. It may be a bunch of bumps in tech specs. I wouldn't say that there's going to be anything overwhelmingly amazing. But Glow Time, I don't know. Are they going to reissue a glowing back? Like it, when you turn on your phone, will the little Apple logo light up? Used to be like that, but
maybe they're going back to that.
Hope not. So the invite shows the Apple logo with different overlapping colors around it with the text, it's Glow Time underneath. The invite calls back to the one sent out for Apple's WWDC in June. That's Worldwide Developers Conference. That invite showed multicolored circles hinting at the Big Siri update. So there's a hint that this is going to be Apple Intelligence, which is the AI update to the operating system and to the hardware. And then they talk about the iPhone 16 could include camera improvements, larger image sensors, physical camera button. I don't know why they would do that. Some models could also have thinner bezels and therefore larger screens, all four. What I can tell you is that something is going to shift 1 millimeter, making it impossible to use the case from last generation's phone.
Or the chargers.
Well, hopefully the chargers are okay. Oh my God, can you imagine? They do away with the USB-C and go to MagSafe only. Yeah.
That would be ridiculous. I know the current chargers that probably wouldn't be impacted by it, but it seems like there's always some update that causes a new charger requirement.
Yeah, it's a multi-billion-dollar ecosystem that shifts and everybody starts buying new stuff again. I can tell you they're not going to be releasing any of the old school crappy cases that they made that you could not put them in a bag. You couldn't put them in your pocket. You couldn't rub your finger across the back of the case without it defacing it horribly. Yuck. Guess who's not going to sponsor anything in ohmTown? Well, at least not.
Oh, well, we didn't want Apple as a sponsor, did we?
No, I don't have any of their devices or anything. They're probably listening to me. I love you, Apple. Apple, you're great. I sleep with your devices under my pillow. I wish I was joking. That one actually is true. Anyway, I have a favorite Twitch channel that I listen to pretty much every night. The banter, it's Dunkstar, DUNCSTAR, and timeless_exe, losing my voice. And the community is great, and there's a lot of banter, and it's just very interactive. And I actually listen to I put headphones on so I don't disturb anybody else, because the mayoral mansion is actually like a giant cat bed, and everybody sleeps on one thing, like one mattress, one big pile of sheets and bedding and stuff, right? Like there's like 200 people that all sleep together, and I don't want to disturb anybody, so I wear headphones until I fall asleep. I wonder if anybody's gonna believe me.
Hopefully not.
If I get that as a question in chat, I'm gonna lose my mind. Anyway. That's it. I'm out. Thanks for hanging out. There isn't much more to this. So we're going to reboot our iPhones, and that's going to snap us back to the front page of ohmtown.com, where we're going to call it formally a night. I am Mayor Watt, and that voice you're about to hear, if you're listening to this via the podcast, and I know you are, go download the podcast. That's the sentient AI from the future.
Good night, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Non Sequitur News.
See you later, everybody. And no, there aren't a bunch of people that all sleep together on a giant futon.